Looks like the Fed might have finally done it and killed the real estate market in Detroit. Let's get into it. Hey, how you doing, guys? Derek here from M1 Realty. I'm the broker owner, founder of the company. Been in business here since 2014, and I've got an all-star team of agents. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we've got you covered. So this week we are going to talk about a recent development that we've had in our market here in Metro Detroit, where it looks like maybe interest rates have gotten high enough at this point that it's starting to exert some downward pressure on the market, because before this, it didn't really matter what the interest rates were. People were still buying. And just in the past couple weeks, I'm starting to notice a little bit of softening up in the market, so let's talk about it. But first, we need to know where interest rates currently are. So as of Monday, I use the same source every single week when I'm talking to my agents, just to make sure that we're consistent, at least where we're getting our information from. And obviously, this is going to depend on a lot of factors. If you've got a 600 credit score, you're going to have a higher interest rate than if you have an 800 credit score. If there's a whole lot of things that go into it. But generally speaking, the average for a 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage as of Monday is 7.5%. The average rate for a 15-year conventional is 6.375, and then the average rate for a 30-year FHA mortgage is 7.125. Now, you've probably seen some headlines in the news and the media about how this is the highest interest rates have been in 21 years. Well, yeah, because we went through a major recession where interest rates, they had to cut interest rates down to just keep the economy going as much as they possibly could. And then we've just seen some artificially low interest rates for a long time. The 40-year average is 7.17%. So we're just a tad bit above that. So that being said, it is definitely a big shock to go from 3% interest rates and in just over a year more than double to 7.5. But here we are. And in the grand scheme of things, perception is reality. And if the consumer is perceiving that interest rates are super high, then they are. So obviously they are quite a bit higher than they have been for a long time. But, in the grand scheme of things, we're not in the 80s where, we're looking at, 15, 16, 17, 18% interest rates. We're not anywhere near that. We're not going to be anywhere near that unless some catastrophe happens with the economy. So I think we're just about peaked on where we're going to be for rates. Now, I wouldn't be completely shocked if they go just a bit higher before they start going down, and let's talk about why. The whole reason why interest rates have been going up for mortgages is because the Fed has been raising rates for over a year now at this point in order to combat inflation. So the last inflation report that came out, we were at 8% inflation a year ago, or last June. We're down to 3% now. But the Fed's target rate for inflation is 2% or less. So until we get to 2%, it sounds like they're going to keep either raising interest rates or just keep them where they're at. They're certainly not going to lower them until we get to that point. In fact, last week there was a meeting on an economics club. I'm not exactly sure who it was, but it was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Jerome Powell, who's the chairman of the Fed, gave a speech, and he basically said he's going to do whatever it takes to get to 2%. So any thoughts of interest rates going down this next time the Fed meets is probably a pipe dream. I don't think it's going to happen. That being said, I'm not sure anybody knows what's going to happen yet. They've slowed down. They were raising rates by 75 basis points or 0.75% for a while there. They slowed down to 25 basis points, which is 0.25%, and that's been the last few meetings. And so we might see a pause. Because inflation is coming down. It's not at their target yet, but I think they might take the wait and see approach here. All that's really going to do is prolong the higher mortgage rates that we have, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not here yet, but it is coming. I think as long as inflation continues to reduce, I think we're going to start seeing lower rates. I've been saying Q4 of this year or Q1 of next year is probably when we're going to start seeing rates drop down. But let's talk about what's happening right now in our market. And I've just seen this. So this is not scientific because, I track numbers like a freaking psycho. But with with when you're tracking numbers, you're looking at things that happened in the past. So all I can talk about is like anecdotally what I'm seeing in the market when I'm working with buyers, and on the listings that I currently have listed, I'm seeing the same thing. And this is just in the last 2 to 3 weeks. It seems like once rates got above 7%, things started slowing down. Like listings are just taking longer to sell. We've had to reduce the price on some of our listings where, a year ago we'd have put that house on the market, had multiple offers in 2 days. Now we're on the market, more than that, 2-3 weeks. We're having to drop prices. We're not seeing as many properties go into multiple offers, and I'm seeing that on the listing side and on the buying side, because I've gotten a lot of houses under contract just in the past couple weeks, and I think there's only like 1 or 2 that have been multiple offer situations. So that wouldn't have been, we haven't even dreamed of not being in a multiple offer situation, even recently, even in the past, a couple months ago. It would have been like you just would have baked that into the cake that you're going to get into a fight over multiple offers and have to beat other offers in order to get yours accepted. I think the last like 3 or 4 buyer side offers that I've gotten accepted just in the past couple weeks, I don't think we've had a multiple offer situation in the bunch. So and we're talking houses that there's one that I just got that it hit the market that day. We went and looked at it, got it accepted, but the other one's been on the market for a little while. So don't have quite as much pressure from buyers, and that I'm seeing that obviously on the listing side too, where you could have basically banked on multiple offer situations. I literally just accepted an offer right before I started filming this, and that was a multiple offer situation. That's probably the first one I've had, in the past couple weeks anyway. Everything else that I've had, any offers that I've gotten in, have just been single offers. So that's kind of good news for buyers. Actually, it is good news for buyers, even if you don't think so, and I'm going to tell you why. Sellers, we got a little bit of work to do now where we didn't have to before. It's the first time in a few years where we have to take a couple steps to get our house sold here, but for buyers it's a little bit easier than it has been. So let's talk about solutions. I'm going to start by talking about what we need to do on the buy side, and then I'll talk about the sell side here in a minute. So if you are in the market to buy a home, or you're thinking about buying a home, or you're not sure if you're in the market to buy a home now because of interest rates, what are you supposed to do? Got a couple things that'll make that pill go down a little easier as far as the interest rates and your monthly payment. So number one, inventory is a little bit less of a problem. We still don't have nearly enough inventory, but that being said, every house isn't going to multiple offers right now, so you can take your time. We have more inventory than we've had for pretty much all year right now in most of the cities that we track. But like for instance, Ferndale, I think right now is at 38 active listings, and we could easily be at 90 or 100, and in a normal market we would be. St. Clair Shores, same deal. I think there's 61 active listings right now. I'm just going off the top of my head. As of Monday, at least, there were 61. Could easily be 161, but I digress. If you're looking to buy, you don't have to necessarily like be there the morning a house hits the market and come in with a crazy above asking price offer, and you don't have to like waive your inspection contingency and do an escalation clause and all that stuff. On certain houses, you're still going to have to. Some of them are definitely going multiple offers, but in general, most of these houses, you're going to have a couple of days to look at them, decide which one you want, put the offer in, and go from there. So now the question is, do you buy now, or do you wait until interest rates go lower and then purchase? So here's my take on that. And I've been pretty consistent with this. Actually, I've been extremely consistent with this because this is the right answer. But my thought, what's going to happen is when interest rates start coming down, prices are going to shoot right back up. That's what always happens. Like usually in a normal market where we had normal inventory, we would have started seeing this a while back when rates got to 5 or 5.5% from 3. We would have started seeing a slowdown in the number of how fast homes were selling, the average sale price would have started slowing down. We just didn't see it because we had such low inventory and there was way more demand than there was inventory. And you can go back to any of the videos that I made for the past 2 years where I've talked about this, and it's been pretty consistent. Now we're seeing, I think this is where interest rates had to get in order for things to start slowing down. So we know we're still going to be in a low inventory situation even when rates go down, but we know also that there's more buyers out there than there are homes to put people in. So once rates start going down, people are going to, their buying power is going to increase. So there's going to be more buyers per price point for every house that we're looking at. Average days on market is going to go down. The average sale price is going to go up because there's probably going to be, multiple offers again. Just simple supply and demand, right? So my thought is right now, prices are what they are, whether you think they're high or they're low or they're just right. They're where they're at, and people that are looking for the market to crash. I mean, we're in the crash right now. I think is where we're at. This is as low as they're going to get for the time being until somebody magically makes inventory appear out of thin air. We're at where we're at. So when interest rates start going down and the prices start going up, like what are you going to do? You're going to be paying more than you would right now for the same house, but you won't have the opportunity to refinance. So my thought is buy that house now. Yeah, it's going to suck for, the time being with, interest rates where they're at, and you're going to be paying more than you would otherwise if interest rates were lower, but you got the house at a cheaper price because when the rates go down and the prices go up, it's going to be more expensive to buy that house. Then you just refinance. Then you get the house at a lower price and you get the lower interest rate, as opposed to paying more for the house and getting the lower interest rate, which is going to make your payment higher at the end of the day. Another solution that we've talked about a few times on this channel is the 2-1 buy down. So again, if you're not familiar with what that is using seller concession money. And now that we're not in a multiple offer situation on every single house and it's not just a crazy free-for-all, you have the ability to negotiate concessions into your offer. So why don't we use that to buy your rate down? So what that is, say the perfect example is a $300,000 house. So we're going to get it under contract at $300,000. Everybody agrees on it. So what we're going to do then is send an addendum over to the seller saying we're going to raise the price to $307,000, but we want $7,000 back in concessions. So the net to the seller is the exact same. They're going to pay the same amount regardless, but you get $7,000 in your pocket, and what we're going to do with that money is buy down your rate for 2 years. So say we're at a 7.5% right now. If you get that locked in, get your house under contract. So we're going to use that seller's money for that first year. We're going to buy your rate down to a 5.5% interest rate. The second year it adjusts to a 6.5% interest rate, and then the third year it goes back up to 7.5%. So, I mean, again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I have not seen any prediction by anybody who knows what they're talking about saying that rates are still going to be where they're at now 3 years from now. They're going to be much lower, hopefully, knock on wood. But, with that assumption, I think it's going to be faster than that. Like I said, I think rates are going to start coming down either the end of this year, beginning of next year. We've got an election coming up at the end of 2024. I would almost guarantee we're going to have a lot lower interest rates than we have now. But once rates come down to the point where you're comfortable with, say that the next year you're paying 5.5% interest rate. You still have money in that account for that second year when it's going to adjust to 6.5. But let's say that a year from now, rates are down at 5.75. So why would you stick with a 6.5% interest rate? You're just going to refinance to that 5.75, and we're going to use the money that's left over that the seller contributed to do that. So it's not coming out of your pocket to refinance. So all in all, it just gives you a lot more flexibility. It allows you to get into that house at a lower interest rate, and then it allows you to refinance and keep that lower interest rate once the rates get down to to a level that is acceptable to you. And yeah, it's a little more work, but at the end of the day, you're getting that house at a lower price than you will in the future, and you're starting out at a lower interest rate than you'd otherwise have to. So now let's talk about sellers. So you're looking to sell your house in this market, and all of a sudden I'm giving you this bad news that it's not quite as easy as it has been. It's not fishing with dynamite anymore. We got to do a little bit of work to get your house sold. So let's talk about what you're going to need to do to make that happen. First and foremost, the number one most important thing to do is when you have your house on the market, let's put a little effort into it and make sure that it's showing really well. I've been talking about this a lot on this channel about how, we've been looking at houses where dishes in the sink and dust everywhere and just people don't put any effort into it because they know their house is going to sell. Maybe it won't now. So let's talk about, what needs to be done. We do have a how to prep your home for sale guide. I am more than happy to send that to you if you want to just reach out to me or just put in the comments down below. I'll email that to you just so you can see what that is. It's just a common sense checklist on what you need to do room to room to make your house as appealing as possible. It's never been my philosophy to dump a bunch of money into a home that you don't plan on living in anymore. So I'm never going to tell you, hey, you've got to drop 20 grand into that kitchen so we can get 22 out of it when you sell. That's not how I do business. But that being said, I will always recommend going to Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards or wherever your local home improvement store is, and spending a few $100 to just create a really good first impression for that buyer the first time they walk up to the house. We're talking mulch and flowers and just maybe if you got to power wash the front of your house or whatever the case may be, you want to create that really great first impression because a buyer's going to know within the first 30 seconds to a minute of stepping out of their car, walking up the front walkway and walking into the house if it's someplace they can see themselves living in. So there we go. That's the name of the game right there. We need to make sure that first impression's awesome. That's going to get you off on the right foot and make it a lot more likely that you're going to get an acceptable offer. The second thing to do is be a little bit patient. It's not like we're in some like crazy depressed market where things are taking forever to sell. I think the average days on market right now in Ferndale is still like 22 days, but it's still a seller's market. But that being said, you can't expect to just put it on the market at whatever price you feel like putting it on at and have it sold in a day with 12 offers. It's just not realistic. That's still happening with some houses, but currently in our market, I wouldn't bank on that. So be a little bit patient, and most importantly, where I've really gotten the best results lately for my sellers is first thing I do every morning is call every agent that showed one of my listings the day before just to get feedback from them. Because if we're just getting consistent feedback that it's just priced too high, or we can adjust the price and get it sold right away. Usually that's how it works. If we get more than one agent giving us the same feedback and it's something we can correct, as soon as we correct it, the house is going to sell almost immediately. So put a little effort into your home, be aggressive on the price reductions if you need to be, and just be patient. It will sell. It's just going to take a little bit more time. And aside from that, just kind of negotiate where you can. And that goes for buyers and sellers because, the art of negotiation has been lost for the past few years because there wasn't an opportunity to. It was such a free-for-all. You knew that if you put your house on the market, it's going to sell just like that. You're going to have multiple offers. Buyers knew that they just had to pull out all the stops, waiving inspection contingencies and doing appraisal guarantees and all kinds of stuff that, it just hurts my heart as a buyer's agent to have to do. We had to do it because that was the only chance of getting the house under contract. Nowadays, we can, within reason, don't be crazy, but within reason on the buy side and the sell side, just get to a meeting of the minds, make sure it's something everybody can live with. Perfect example, that house that I just that listing I just got under contract before I started shooting this video. We got multiple offers on it, but we got just a tiny bit under asking price. So that was like the best we could do. I'm sure, if I kept the house on the market longer, I probably could squeeze out a couple more $1,000. But my seller just wants it gone and move on to the next project. So he was perfectly happy with it. We got full price with a couple % of seller concessions. So maybe they're doing a 2-1 buy down. I don't know. But you know, that was fine. It's a win-win. Everybody agrees on it. It's going to happen. We're going to get the house done, and everybody moves on. Buyer gets a nice house. Seller gets paid and is on to the next flip. So that's where we're at on that. And if you guys do have any other questions about specific cities, like I'm just kind of like being kind of general because I've been all over Metro Detroit with many. I'm working with several buyers right now. I think I've got 5 or 6 active listings right now as well. A couple that we just put under contract, and that's just what I've been seeing like all over town. Maybe your experience is different, but any questions that you have, as always, just reach out to me. Call or text anytime. My direct line is 586-491-5622. You can also reach me at 248-561-6155 or shoot me an email at dwerenka@m1realty.net. And until next time, guys, I really appreciate you watching these videos. Thank you so much if you made it to the end here. Anything you guys need, you are the reason why I make these videos. I'm getting a lot of great feedback from people. I think this is helping a lot of people. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing every week. I'm just going to give you content. This is my opinion of the market. I like I said, I'm a metrics and statistics nerd, so I am always keeping a real close eye on just any little changes in the market that I'm seeing, and then I make videos just like this one. So thanks again, guys. We'll talk next week. In the meantime, you need anything at all, just reach out, and have a great day.